Hi, it's Kim Butler. Today we're going to talk about the financial calculators that are available. And this is not a financial calculator. This is one of those little tiny calculators that most of us like to use when we're doing things with math. Might be on your phone, might be handheld. And yet, when we're dealing with personal finance, there is an extra element that we forget about that makes it very necessary to use financial calculators like what I have on the screen. And it is time, because time affects all things financial. Literally, as soon as you get past a day, you are dealing with time. And so in personal finance, math is affected by time. And that's why we have to be conscious of it and use financial calculators to identify and calculate all things numerical, not typical regular calculators. I mean, if you're just adding 3 plus 3 and it's going to equal 6, that's fine. But if you're trying to figure out anything else, you pretty much need a financial calculator. The ones that I've got on the screen are from truthconcepts.com. Full disclosure, that is my husband's software that he creates for Prosperity Economics Advisors. North America wide, that's more than nationwide, definitely US and Canada. So what we have here is, first of all, a rate calculator, which calculates an annual interest rate, and I'll use some examples in a moment. Then we have a present value calculator and a future value calculator, these two that you can see on the screen. And it took me a long time, even though my background was banking, and then I went through all of the training to become all of the licensed, appropriately certified financialness that I was. This future value and present value concept still is a struggle for me on occasion. And then we have the time period, and then also a payment calculator like for loans and that kind of thing. So we're just going to use a simple example so that you can see how these things work. And over here on the rate calculator, put in a $100,000 account. Pretend that we're adding $10,000 a year to it, and that the future value is $1 million over a 10-year period of time. And you can see that that equals a 20.96 rate of return that you would have to earn per year in order to have the $10,000 the $100,000 with 10,000 added turn into $1 million over that 10-year period of time. Well, we can calculate that all around the rest of those calculators, and I'm going to just do this as an example. But the first thing that I have to do in order for all of the calculations to come out exactly is to copy this very long interest rate that you see here, because when you're doing this kind of math, you cannot round. And this is another area that people make mistakes with. We want to round this to 20.96, but it's actually 20.9629 and all those decimals. So we'll go up here to the present value calculator. So what I mean by this is we're going to say that in the future we want $1 million. Whoops, that's 10 million. Let's back that off a zero here. And that we're going to be adding the same $10,000 a year that we talked about. And I think I'm still getting an extra zero. And now we're going to paste in that interest rate with all those decimal places. And then you'll just see the 20.96, but we know if we click in that cell, actually, we can see that all of the decimal places are in there. Same 10-year period of time. And now we have our $100,000 present value. So $1 million in the future, $10,000 a year added over the 10 years, earning the 20.96. Again, this is just an interest rate that's calculated. I'm not speaking about any investment at all. It would take $100,000 today to do that. And we knew that from this earlier calculation when we put in the $100,000. All right, so let's keep going. Now we have a payment calculator. So this is taking our $100,000 that we have, identifying that we want $1 million in the future, and pasting in that interest rate again with all of its decimal places, and identifying our same 10 years. And now we get an annual payment of $10,000. Same information, just looked at a different way. And then the future value calculator is taking the $100,000 that we have today and making sure I've got the right zeros again, adding 10,000, pasting in the interest rate and the number of years as 10. And now we have our $1 million future value in the future. And then the last one is the time. And so here we have our 100,000 as present value. We have our 10,000 as the payment and the future value at $1 million, and the interest rate again with all of its decimal places, and the years equal 10. So just a quick lesson, if you will, on the importance of financial calculators. You can get them on the web. You can get financial calculator apps on your phone. There's actually even a Truth Concepts app if you're interested in it. That's in both the Google Play Store as well as the iTunes Store. And the future value calculator is probably the one that I use second to most. The rate calculator is probably the one that I use the most. Just as a quick example, something that I've done with many of my clients over the phone is to take a look at the difference between a 4 and a 5% interest rate. So as an example here, if you have a 4% interest rate and you are going to be able to earn a 5% interest rate. So let's say you borrowed against something and the cost was 4%, and you were able to invest in something and the gain was 5%, and you knew that you could do that every year, so we're going to calculate this over a 1-year period of time. A lot of people think that is just a 1% difference. And it's technically a 1% spread. 5 minus 4 is 1, right? But it's actually a 25% difference. 4 is your cost, 5 is your gain. That's a 25% improvement. And that is a really tough thing to get your arms around. So one of the easiest ways to do that, we might as well just finish this out, and that is to take a future value calculator and say, okay, if we have $100,000 and, I guess we're going to use $1 million, that's fine. And we're not adding anything to it, and it's only earning 4%, and we're going over like 30 years. We'll use a long period of time to measure this. That's going to get us $3 million. If we don't need the title, what I need is another future value calculator, and we put in that same $1 million. So I'm right over here. I think that's 10. Okay, there we go. On the screen, it's hard for me to tell. No payment, interest rate of 5 over that same 30-year period. We can see that that's $4 million. So we wouldn't ever say, well, 3.2 million over here is only one difference than 4.3 million. That's clearly a 25% difference. You might not know the math, but you know it's more than 1% difference. So hopefully that helps prove that out a little bit. And this has just been a fun discussion about financial calculators versus typical handheld calculators. And of course, if you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out to me on our website, prosperitythinkers.com. We welcome questions via email. And of course, if it's appropriate, we'll be happy to get on the phone and talk with you. I'm Kim Butler saying thanks for watching.